Grace and truth comes from John 1:14, where it says Jesus was full of grace and truth. Join us today on this podcast as we dive into deep revelation and find ways to make it understandable, cowboy style, simple. That's the way I like it, and I hope you do too. We'll probably talk about some of the questions. You'll get some of the answers of it, but I tell people all the time that it's to the idea of somebody saying behind every good man is a good woman, in my case, is a ridiculous statement. Gale is not behind me in any way, shape, or form. She is so my equal, beyond equal. She's side by side, arm in arm. She is the wisdom behind the thing.
Amen.
She's the genius behind it. She's the drive. If it was my way, I would probably just be, sleeping in every day. I don't know. I'd say she just always is a driving force. Her name is Gale, and it's spelled Gale, because that's what she is, a gale force wind. And she is no joke. And it is not her norm to get up in front of people. But as of late, God has been stretching her, and it's just interesting that He came up with this idea, because this has been something that as of late has been happening a lot, whereby I get to have you get to meet my best friend, my bride, right. Gale.
Yeah. So. She's going to be the rose between two thorns. That's what we're going to do this morning, and so we're excited for Gale to be with us this morning. Amen. Amen. Okay. Now, I'm just going to ask some questions, and then we'll just kind of roll with it. And I know I sent you the list of these, and I know we're not going to get through all of them. So I'm just going to kind of pick and choose. But tell us, first of all, we'll start with you, Gale. Where were you born? Like, where did you grow up, and where would you call home?
Well, from here on the opposite end of the earth, in Michigan.
Okay.
In southern Michigan, right on Lake Erie.
Right on Lake Erie. So that's where you still call home?
Yes.
They kind of homesteaded there, and her family still lives there, literally right on Lake Erie. It's amazing.
Oh my! So you get those lake snow things?
No, actually, we live on the best side of the state.
Oh, the best side of the state.
The other side is what
Traverse City is the one that gets blasted.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
The opposite side of the state.
Yes.
Over by Bay City, that kind of area.
That's exactly
okay.
right. You know.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I
it's
just
a
went 2 summers ago.
So the lake.
Yes, that's how they do it.
I live here.
Okay.
It's
okay, cool. And Johnny, I know where you grew up, but where'd you call home? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Tulia, Texas, but I was raised in Sierra Vista, Arizona.
Sierra Vista, Arizona, close to Miracle Valley.
Yes. My favorite childhood memory was when I was, my dad was in the military. That's how you get to Sierra Vista, because it's Fort Huachuca down there. But when I was 6, 7, and 8, we moved to Germany, because he was stationed in Mannheim, Germany. And we lived up in instead of living in the barracks, we lived up in the mountains in the Black Forest.
Okay.
And it was called Halle Krustanov. And we lived up there, and I remember every sound, every smell, it's the most wonderful memory for me as a child. Yeah, okay. Just Germany.
Yeah, Gale, what was your favorite childhood memory growing up? Something significant.
I would probably have to say going up north. So in Michigan, you have 2 peninsulas, the lower and the upper. So the upper peninsula is considered up north. So we had a cabin.
That's where the Upers are.
The Upers, yes.
Yeah. Upers, yeah.
So we had a cabin up there, and that would be our vacation.
When did you guys first come to know the Lord? Your first experience with knowing Jesus? When did that happen? Like, where was it, and what was going on in your life? How old were you about?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up. When I was real little, I was forced to go to Catholic church. That's what my dad was.
Okay.
And my mom was kind of finding her way. And then my mom got saved when I was pretty young. I'm not really sure how old I was. And then I got saved shortly after that. I don't really know how old I was.
Yeah, it's kind of like me.
Yeah, like
my mom says I was 4, but I don't know.
Like 9, 10, or whatever. But in that time, I still had to go to Catholic church with my dad. But I always wanted to go with my mom. She started going to a Baptist church, and then she started going to full gospel church. So that was kind of my upbringing.
Okay.
Yeah, I got saved in Germany. It's kind of a really unique story. The pastor, he was a colonel, lieutenant colonel in Germany, and he was our pastor in Mannheim, and we were up in an upper room praying. I was 7 years old, and it was January 1st, so it was December 31st, going into the new year, and we were praying for the new year, and I and the pastor's daughter and I were just running around being crazy, and they were praying, and they grabbed me because I was being too wild and set me in the middle of them, and I remember feeling the presence of God for the first time. My life was a real uproar, and I didn't have a lot of peace, but I felt peace. As a kid, I could determine that so we were driving home, and I asked my mom, what was that? And she said, that was Jesus. That was the presence of God. I'm like, I just want that.
Wow.
And she pulled over to the side of the road, and my mother led me to the Lord right on the side of the highway.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we got home. And see, here's the thing is people say kids can't remember. So I remember every single detail. And I had this picture of God's hands above my head, this weird picture that always kind of freaked me out. And I'm laying in bed, and I saw those hands, and I started crying. And my mom walked in and like, what's wrong? I'm like, does this mean that I'm a child of God?
Wow. Wow.
You know.
Yeah, that's cool. Amen. Amen.
Good night. I gotta go.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I can finish asking Joe the question. So.
But by the way, so that church, that pastor, then when he got out of Germany, got a vision to start a church in Sierra Vista.
Wow.
And everybody that was the core part of that church in Germany ended up moving to Sierra Vista, and we started Shiloh Christian Center.
Wow.
This is probably the largest church in Sierra Vista still to this day.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Shiloh Christian Center. Amen.
Yeah.
When was your first opportunity to actually minister? This is probably geared more to you, Johnny, at this point, but when was the first time that happened and you realized that it was more than just an occupation, it was a calling of God?
I got a picture here I found. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's me with the guitar. I still
just don't show the other one.
I play it about as good still to this day. But I think even then, that was 1979, so I was 10. I think I knew right then already that there was a call in my life. I got in a lot of trouble all my life. I was always in trouble. But I never had a heart against people I just was wild. I just was like they found out mostly it was, too much sugar. Yeah, ADHD. But you could show that other picture because I thought, how about that?
Not that one, the other one. No.
Yeah. And how about that cowboy right there? Come on. And I went to the top of the mountains in Sierra Vista, and stood on a ledge and just cried out to God, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah.
I remember I was camping. I was going to camp up there, and I told everybody, "I'm not coming down until I hear from God. What do you want? Not what does my dad want, not even what do I want. What do you want from me?" Yeah. I don't know what to do. And I got a vision, and I know I'm not a vision kind of weird guy, but I got a vision, and it was like of a gold, black and white, like 1960s TV. Okay. And it came up in my face, and it was replaying something that actually happened that I had forgotten about. And it was a flashback to when I was in 8th grade, and I was at a tent revival with my mom. What is wrong with me this morning?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Why are we doing this?
Okay, we're going to let's talk to Gale then.
So I was at a tent revival with my mom, and I leaned over to her and I said, "Man, when I sing about Jesus, I feel like my voice just sounds different. It sounds so much better." Yeah. And she said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what I should do? I should take George Strait music and turn the words in and make it." And Mom said, "Yeah, we could call it country Christian." I said, "Nah, Christian country."
Right, yeah.
And that was in 8th grade. And so this picture came up, and I'm like, you got to understand, I didn't sing. I didn't even do karaoke. I didn't sing. Yeah. This was like news to me. And I'm like, how does one do that?
Yeah.
And so it just all the bottom line, I went back to Phoenix. I went into Phoenix and bought a little tape, and it was a background track. And I started learning that song, and then somebody heard me and asked me to open for this guy named Vern Jackson, July 4th, 1994. Yeah. And I sang, I only knew 2 songs. That's all I knew, by heart, you know what I mean? And I went out there and I sang this first song, and I was hyperventilating because I didn't know how to dance and sing at the same time. And I was literally going, no, and singing. And I walked off stage, and he goes, hey, you need to go do another one. And I said, no, I didn't know who he was. Yeah. I said, no, that lady told me I can only do one song. And he said, he'll do another song. And I only knew one other song. So I go out there and I do this other song, and I get a standing ovation.
Wow. And
people are crying and weeping, and I come off the stage, I'm like, what just happened? Yeah. And I run into this guy, and he said, can you go on tour with me? I'm like, yeah. Who are you?
Yeah, right.
And he goes, I'm Vern Jackson, and he said, and you just sang my only song, my biggest hit. I sang his song at his concert.
Yeah, that's why you got the standing ovation.
Right, yeah. Everybody's like, he did it so good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's cool. Well,
so then I traveled with him.
Yeah. So Gale just got sucked into all this ministry calling stuff. But